Welcome to another round of Greenville Triumph Weekly here with OSG Sports and SDH Networks. Long road trip for Greenville as they are heading to Forward Madison. So it is a long run for them, but we get to give you the lay of the land when it comes to what's going on in USL League One from the Greenville Triumph perspective. It is Marion Cole who's hanging out with us from the team. She'll let you know what's going on with the team and all the initiatives that they have had leading into the season, give you a bit of an update in her perspectives, her soccer perspectives from what she's seen with the Triumph in their League One action. Chris Ashley, his weekly show visit from a YTSS, that soccer show, the YTSS podcast. We catch up with him, and he corrects me on some South Carolina geography. And player spotlight, Jake Keegan, player of the week in USL League One. So it's Chris, it's Jake, it's Marion, it's you, and it's me. Enjoy Marion Cole coming up just around the corner. You're listening to Greenville Triumph Weekly, OSG Sports and SDH Networks. We'll be right back after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back, Greenville Triumph Weekly. Time to get the 411. Is that what the younger folks say these days, Marion? The 411.
The 411, I'm not going to show my age, but I can confidently say I have no idea what the younger generation is saying, unfortunately.
Usually for me, it's like, all right, I just need the information, so I don't know if I'm dialing 8 to go long distance, if I'm going 411 to get the info, if I'm dialing 311 to make sure that whatever service I'm trying to dial up to make sure that it's all good to go. But so far, so good for the Triumph out of the blocks, and Jake Keegan's on later on in the show, and we talk everything from getting Player of the Week honors to playing FIFA and seeing who's good and who's not. So, so we got the 411 on that too. So, early returns so far from your perspective on the play of the Triumph in League One.
I think the big question mark that the Triumph had coming into really the kind of 9-month layoff was the offensive efficiency. And if the offensive efficiency was going to get in a groove early enough with the shortened season, with 15 weeks to play, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room to make the playoffs or not. And especially when the playoffs went from 4 teams to 2 teams, there's just not a lot of room for error, so there's not a lot of room either, and there's not a lot of time for you to kind of find that groove that you typically find in preseason when you don't really have a preseason, and the last games you played were preseason exhibition matches, and you're just getting to your peak, and then you come back off your peak, and now you're kind of starting cold turkey. I think the biggest question we all had was just, can we find the offensive groove and the offensive productivity quick enough. And I think that has been answered pretty thoroughly. And I'm just going to, knock on wood that it's not going to stop. But we scored 5 goals in the first 2 games. We've had 2 players of the week, 2 weeks in a row, both offensive players. So, I mean, things look really well, almost to the point where you're kind of scared to say, is this the start? Are we getting out of the gates too soon? Are we peaking too early? There's always that worry in the back of your mind. But I'm sure the guys just have the mindset of it's one game at a time. Let's see if we can continue to score more than 1 goal in a game. And if we do that, it's going to be hard for us to lose.
Last time out against Richmond, it was 2 for Jake Keegan. He gets League One Player of the Week honors, 3-2 win in a game that had its share of bonkers that was attached to it. When you look back at the Richmond match, what sticks out in your mind?
The own goals. I mean, I don't think I've ever had, before we got Keegan's change, to credit him to have actually 2 goals. They had it listed as an own goal. They had, so that would have been, 3 on goals that they had listed for that game. I don't think I've ever seen that in my, 18-plus years of playing and seeing soccer. So, to me, that was the crazy part, just kind of it was such a fast-paced game, but it was almost an uncontrolled pace. There were a lot of mistakes made. It was messy. It was kind of, truthfully, just a really sloppy game on both sides. But to that point, I think what also sticks out is the fact that you're in an empty stadium. There's no fans. It's the second game of the season. You don't play very well. The tempo from the other team is not that great. They're not playing well. And you find a way to win anyway. And so I think that's probably what sticks out in my mind, both on a positive note. On just kind of a wacky note, like you said, it's definitely the on goals. On a positive note, it's the fact that they found the grind, they found the will, and they pushed through a sloppy game. On a negative note, what really sticks out in my mind is the fact that we're going to be without Brandon Fricky this coming week. The fact that he got a red card. He has been an extremely vocal leader already this season and someone that has really made his presence known. And how do you replace a guy like that? Well, you don't. You just kind of fill in and you hope that it works.
Obviously, heading up to Madison to take on the Flamingos, it's not going to be at Breeze Stevens because of protocols that are going on up there in the state of Wisconsin. It's going to be at a new park this week. And one of the other things that has been noticed really about operating as a sports team in COVID-19, it's protocols and 50-page documents and making sure that everyone's following this stuff to the letter as to how the league wanted it, the health and safety of all of their players structured, plus club guidelines. It's a lot for the players to pay attention to, but to be together as a collective, it's important that everyone makes sure that they're following the rules so the club can be as healthy as it can be and as safe and as an example for everyone in the community as to what they need to do to go forward.
I couldn't agree more, and I think you hit the nail on the head with that last statement as being an example. Other than baseball, we're the only team playing in home markets, right? And so that's a big step and a big target to kind of have on your back and a lot of pressure. And so I think everyone knew that. We've been in calls with the league since the shutdown has started, and that's been the thing that has been preached from day one, is making sure that you realize how many eyes are on you. And so that trickled down from the people in the league, each organization, or from each organization's president to the head coach, and from the head coach down to the players, to the point where I have watched these guys do their protocols. I've watched our athletic trainer. I've absolutely just break her back, summarizing these 50-page documents, sending out all these updates, and everyone, I think, realizes how big of a deal this is and how big of a deal this pandemic is, and we want to bring people joy by being able to play and putting sports back on TV again, right? And giving people something to look forward to. But we also want to set an example that this is not something to be played around with. And we each, as an individual, as businesses, as communities, we have a social responsibility to do our part. And so, for the guys, I know a lot of that has been, things as strict as you don't ride in the car with someone that's not your roommate. They're in charter buses 6 feet, literally measured 6 feet apart. And, these are guys that see each other every single day. So really, if it's not on the field where they're not playing a game where you can't necessarily practice social distancing, everything else is almost just an abundance of caution social distancing. To the point where they've done it now for so long, it probably seems, and I haven't asked them about it, but I'm sure to some of them it seems second nature now that they can't go anywhere to any place besides practice, their workout, and it's all got to be with their roommate. So I think now it's going to be, it's just become second nature, really, and I think you have to do a really good job of keeping the morale high and making sure that the examples that you want to set continue to be set. It's so easy, just like in any game, it's so easy for momentum to drop. It's so easy for tempo to drop when you kind of get in this rut or you get in this habit and you do one thing wrong and then all of a sudden all those habits go away. And so I think one key piece to this is making sure that you continue to keep the morale high and you continue to remind people, no matter how annoying it is, that this is what you have to do. You have to wear a mask. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And just being that constant reminder that you have more eyes on you and you have more responsibility on your shoulders because you are one of the first teams that are playing in home markets again. And people are going to look to see if this can work without being in a bubble. They're going to look to see if this can work, as a social responsibility to everybody else. And so I think there's a lot of pressure there, like you said, but I think you have to look at it as a small inconvenience to the bigger picture of all of this.
Well, and you mentioned morale and the Triumph as a roster and as an organization are, I think, key in that, in the low country, of setting that example and being active in the community at the same time. So it's almost like two separate lanes of traffic, but you're working toward the same goal at that entire time. What's it been like to see the team be a team in the era of COVID-19?
Well, not just in the era of COVID-19, but in the era of social injustice. It's been wild, honestly, to see. Not wild, and I don't mean wild in a negative way. I mean just really inspiring to see how many of our guys have taken it upon themselves to speak on their own platforms. They've taken it upon themselves to speak out in their own communities, to their own people, in their own bubble, and they do that representing our brand, and so it, like you're saying, it coincides our brand with their personal brand, and I think it's been really cool for us in the communications department to let them tell their story the way that they want to tell it and amplify it, help them, give them the tools to amplify, whether they want to tell someone, you may have lost your job, your business may have shut down, you may have done this during COVID, but here's the encouragement that I want to give you, or I spoke with JJ Donnelly probably a month ago, and just to give him a platform of, here, JJ, interview with us, talk with us about what you see on the field as an African-American player in this league. And so it has really just been cool to kind of take a back seat and let the players create the voice that they want to have, let them create the story that they want to share, and just use us to do it. Because at the end of the day, we've created, the Irwins and Joe and our leadership team has created this brand. It's more than a soccer team. It's a brand that has ambition to do well in the upstate community, to bring the community together through the game of soccer. And I think, honestly, that mission has only grown brighter throughout the COVID-19 pandemic because we've had a second to really engage in other conversations that involve soccer, but that's not the main headline, if that makes sense.
It does. All right, time for the blatant promo. For those that want to pay attention to everything going on with the Triumph on social media, apps, all that kind of stuff, how do they do it?
Okay, so if you want to find us on social media, at Greenville Triumph, at GPL Triumph, that's our Twitter, and then our Instagram is GPL Triumph as well. So that's how you can find everything about us. We're super active, especially if you want to follow along on match days. Super active on Instagram and Twitter, with Twitter being kind of the main place that you'll get game updates and all that jazz. We're also going to be playing on ESPN Plus, so check that game out on ESPN Plus this Friday at 8 p.m. So it'll be a good one. Ford Madison game. It'll be a good one. Last time out, I think we lead the series with 1 win, and they have and we tied twice last season. And last time that we played, it was a sold out Madison Stadium with a 1-0 Greenville Triumph win. I think that it will be quite an exciting matchup.
Mingo and Triumph just around the corner. Marion, as always, thanks for hanging out with us for Triumph Weekly, and we will be catching up with you down the road as the season progresses, the sprint that is USL League One. Thanks for being a part of the show, as always.
Yeah, John, thanks for having me.
Around the corner, Chris Ashley, YTSS, Yeah, That Soccer Show. Jake Keegan, Player of the Week, is in the Player Spotlight. You're listening to Greenville Triumph Weekly, OSG Sports, SDH Networks. We'll be right back after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back, Greenville Triumph Weekly. As always, the middle is the Chris Ashley block, where we catch up with Chris, YTSS, Yeah, That Soccer Show, the podcast out of the Low Country. Chris, as always, it's good to have you back.
Great to be back, but I got to correct you there. You can't be going and telling us we live in the Low Country. People get really...
the High Country? The Up Country?
I think we call it the Upstate.
Upstate, that's right. Oh, yeah, Upstate, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Upstate and Low Country. Low Country is the team that plays down in Charleston.
Sure, yeah, our vaunted rivals in the next level up.
In U.S. Open Cup in U.S. Open Cup history. So that's Low Country. You're Upstate. Okay, so Upstate, YTSS, Yeah, That Soccer Show. It's Chris Ashley. Chris, good to have you back.
Thanks, man. Yeah, always happy to be here.
Okay. Let's talk about where things have gone in the first couple of matches. What have you seen so far, and what the Triumph have been able to do?
Well, other than John Harkes trying to give me a heart attack every time he runs that back line up to midfield, I think this team has looked good. They've looked different in a lot of ways. Like I said, there's this sense of let's come out and let's punch people in the mouth and let's score some goals, which is something you didn't see Greenville do a lot last year. You saw a team that wanted to possess the ball, wanted to play back and hit the counter. But this team is not that. We're scoring goals. We're scoring tons of goals, and trying to just hit people in the mouth early. Now, I don't know how that'll look this week without Brandon Fricke. I don't know if putting a second-choice center back in there, maybe he goes back to that more steady back line. Let's play back. Let's play a little bit defensive-minded with still an attack portion, but they've looked really good. And it's been a little different and a little getting adjusted to, and trying not to be too on edge. But I'll tell you this: the matches have been very exciting.
Last time out against Richmond, it was 3-2, and Jake Keegan gets 2 goals. He is a Player of the Week in USL League One. He's coming up in the next segment in the Player Spotlight. Tyler Pollock named to Team of the Week. So was, for those that have not had the chance to go back and watch it on the Plus, was it as crazy as it sounded, in addition to Coach Harkes trying to give you your weekly heart attack?
It was. It was exciting. The first goal that Keegan scored, they initially scored it for Keegan, and they changed it to an own goal, and only after photographic evidence by one of our photographers were we able to get that overturned. And look, Greenville, we're good at internet bullying if it comes to that. And so I think we willed our way into getting Jake Keegan on top of the Golden Boot race. Couldn't let an own goal be tied with him up there for more than was necessary. It was great. That goal was great. The second one, obviously, an own goal by Ian Antley, brother of former Triumph rival Connor Antley. That was unfortunate, but again, I think that was one that Omar Muhammad was going to score right out of the start of the second half. So it was kind of, Ian was trying to clear it, but if he hadn't cleared it and gotten the own goal, Omar would have gotten that one. And then the third goal, if people have not gone to watch the third goal, you need to see that one, because that might be the best team goal I've seen in Triumph history. Tyler Pollock gets the turnover at midfield. He's pressing. This is the good side of that pressing high line defense. He goes and forces that turnover, gets it to Carlos. Carlos back over to Pollock, who then gets it over to the side to Keegan. Keegan waits. He's got the keeper right in front of him. He's in the box. He waits for the keeper to make his move before he finishes it off. It really, the patience that Jake showed, the teamwork, the movement of the ball, that was just a great goal.
When you look at this season of the Greenville Triumph, we know it's a sprint. We know that it's going to be a compressed schedule. We know it's going to be a test for roster depth, for coaches, anything across the board where you're trying to be one of the top 2 teams in the table by the end of it all. There's always that roster rotation that comes in from one season to the other. When it comes to some of the newer faces that have been out and around for the Triumph so far this year, who should folks be kind of keeping an eye on as the season sprints forward into August?
Well, I mean, the first name that I automatically think of is Alex Morrell. I mean, he's been incredible through 2 games. He's been a guy that has scored the first goal of the season. He's really been a driving force offensively for this team. This past week, you got to see a bunch of guys come on late. Just, again, I think squad rotation, condensed schedule, that kind of thing. I'm excited. I'm waiting. If anybody follows the podcast on Twitter, I'm waiting with bated breath for our local Aussie, Lachlan McLean, striker, to come in and score a goal. That's my dude. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I have committed to, when he scores his first goal, I'm taking one of my Triumph kits down to Lloyd's and getting his name and number printed on the back of it, because that's my guy right now.
When you look at the league on the whole, I know that we've got some new dance partners this year, and then in addition to all of the familiar faces, I know that it's a bit of a short sample size, but since this is the first time that we've had the chance to catch up with you, what do you think about the league on the whole in 2020 with the new faces that are around?
Yeah, well, I mean, the 3 new teams, Omaha, Fort Lauderdale, and New England Revolution 2, have actually really impressed me. Fort Lauderdale in particular, I mean, Fort Lauderdale pushed Greenville to the limit. I mean, I think experience and continuity really won out in that game, but they were really giving Greenville a run for their money in that first match. And then last week had the lead on FC Tucson, went down to 9 men and played for, maybe 45 minutes with 9 men without conceding a goal and holding the lead. And then, ultimately it was too much to handle for them and giving up 2 goals really, really late in that match. They've really impressed me. Omaha, it's hard to say. Their match wasn't anything spectacular on their end, but the Revs looked good even in their match. So, look, I think the growth of this league is important. As much as nobody loves seeing the 2 teams and the B teams fill up the championship or League One, but I think League One's approach has been very good. Of we want to have a balance here of, yes, some 2 and B and reserve teams, but also some independent teams and some solid independent groups coming in. And so, for that matter, this is Division III. I think that's good, and it's gonna be healthy in the long run for the growth of this league.
And you're doing it in markets with the independent sides where, if you didn't know about the pockets of growth of the sport in the country, Omaha wanted to jump in as soon as they could to be a part of this process. We know what's been going on, and we'll get to the Mingo discussion in a second. We know what's going on in Wisconsin. We know what's going on in Tucson, and the rivals that are a part of the footprint here in the Southeast. So it's been, in addition to the Bs and the 2s, you have these markets: Chattanooga, Statesboro, Greenville, Tucson, Madison, and suburbs, and Omaha, where they understand the value of the sport, and they understand what can be and the benefits of having franchises in League One.
Yeah, and I think where you're seeing the real results of that is, this year Madison has a partnership with 2 MLS teams, with Minnesota United and Chicago Fire, and that's paying dividends for them and getting some players. And then this week, you heard Zoran Kernetta, the sporting director for Charlotte MLS, come out and say, we'd love to form a partnership with the Greenville Triumph. And I mean, that is incredibly flattering, and just goes to show the level of play that exists in this league and the talent that is really hidden here. I mean, you're seeing guys that played in this league last year, Nick Moon, for example, score a big goal last night for Indy 11. So here's the thing. There's a lot of gems here, and there's a lot of really, really solid talent. So I think having this Division III league and giving guys opportunities to get some solid playing time is only going to help them. And that's really, for me as a fan, that's really what I care the most about is supporting these players.
Mingo time, study hall. I don't know how much studying you've been able to do this week when it comes to getting ready for the roadie from Greenville to Madison. What do you remember about the Mingos from last year? And we know it's going to be in a different venue. It won't be in Bree Stevens this year because of local guidelines in dealing with COVID-19 and all of that. But what's study hall been like for you with Forward Madison?
Well, it's been a lot of question marks because there's been reports this week that a couple of Triumph players tested positive for COVID, as well as some North Texas players who played Madison last week. So there was a lot of question marks of, what is this match going to look like? Are all the players going to be eligible? Or is the match even going to happen? Got word today that it sounds like those positives, at least on the Triumph side, were false positives. So I think that's kind of cleared that up a bit. Here's the thing. I mean, I think Madison's returning some good, solid pieces from last year. You have Don Smart, you have Connor Tobin, J.C. Banks, Paulo Jr. They have some really solid pieces. But what I like to remind everybody is that Greenville played Madison 3 times last year, and so far we are undefeated with 2 draws and 1 win. So I don't think that this is a match that Greenville can't win. Now, obviously, not having Brandon Fricke is going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge I think they're equipped to handle. They are going to have to. Last year, the first match of the year up in Madison was a snow game, and this year the first match up there is going to be played on a field with lines like you would not believe for every sport imaginable in all sorts of colors. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch, but I ultimately think Greenville has the horses here. I think you're going to see them play a little bit differently, at least without pressing so high with the back line, and I've got Greenville with the 2-1 victory here.
Mingo, instead of the Lion Kings, I guess Mingo would be the Line Kings as we go into the matchup this weekend. So you have a 2-1 prediction. We'll keep an eye on that as well. I know it's a short turnaround because there's another match midweek after this. So it's travel to Wisconsin and back, match midweek as well. So we talk about that compressed schedule. We'll be getting into that as well next week with you. Blatant promo time for those that want to keep an eye on everything that's going on at YTSS, not in the Low Country, but in the Upstate. How do they do it?
Yeah, follow us on podcasts on Twitter at YTSS Podcasts. That Soccer Show is a podcast available on every podcatcher you can imagine, and gvlsoccer.com is where you can go to read previews and recaps. This is the fourth straight hashtag Team No Mingo week. So here we go. No Mingo.
But they are the Lion Kings. We'll keep an eye on that match this weekend. Chris, as always, it's great to have you when it comes to Greenville Triumph Weekly and when we step outside and we get to do the 1v1s on the weekly basis to catch up with everybody with what's going on USL League One, YTSS, GVL Soccer, and all of that. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch up with you next week.
Sounds great.
Jake Keegan around the corner. You're listening to Triumph Weekly, SDH Networks. OSG Sports will be right back after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back, Greenville Triumph Weekly Player Spotlight. Time to catch up with someone who's adding hardware. Now, are they giving you hardware this year, or is it just another high and hearty handshake?
I think it's a handshake. I haven't gotten any hardware, so.
Okay. Didn't know if it was like a PDF or
It's actually not even a handshake. It's a fist bump now.
Okay, that's true. Yes. Elbow bumps, fist bumps, those kinds of things. I didn't know if it was a Word document or a PDF or something that you could frame or anything like that. Jake Keegan hanging out with us for Player Spotlight. So, what's the season been like so far?
It's been a whirlwind starting back in March, as I'm sure everybody can imagine, and everybody's lives have been affected in different ways. And we kind of took the positives from the situation. We had a little bit, maybe extra time to train, a little bit extra time to get healthy for certain players, and I think for the most part we used that training wisely. And now, 2 games into the season, we're seeing good results, but we still have a lot of room for improvement. So we're looking to do that as we go forward to Madison tomorrow night.
So, what are your takeaways from your own performance from the last time out? Obviously, I wouldn't have been joking about Player of the Week stuff if you didn't get that kind of recognition, but what are your takeaways from last time out?
I think it's always positive when you score 3 goals, and I think it's great to get 3 points at home in our first home game of the season. But I think there was definitely areas of improvement. I don't think, although we did score 3 goals, I don't think we really had other kind of clear openings and clear chances, so there's definitely situations where we can be a little bit better in the final third and create more clear-cut chances. And then, obviously, last season we basically had a shutout every other game. So giving up 2 goals, especially for us, is a little disappointing. But at the same time, when you come away with 3 points, especially when you don't play kind of to the best of your ability, you're always going to be happy with that.
What has playing in this new normal been like for you? Because we mentioned protocols a little bit off the top. It's fist bumps, it's elbows, and handshakes. How different is this for you as a professional athlete here in this new normal?
It's different off the field, but once you get on the field, it's a game. You're competing. You're not thinking, oh, you're on a corner kick and you're defending or you're attacking, whatever the case may be, and you're like, oh, I gotta step off this guy, or just so I don't get too close to him. It doesn't even cross your mind in the slightest once you cross the white line. Yeah. But obviously, in the locker room when we're traveling, there's so many different protocols that the league has put out to protect the players. Obviously, players and staff first and foremost. So all the weekly testings that we do, we have to remember to put our masks on if we're going into situations where we're going to be close to people, and when we're traveling on the road, for instance, like a lot of people, if you're not living with someone in Greenville, then you also get your own room. So I'm in that boat, which is actually a nice perk. I don't mind that part of it. But there was a huge document the league set out just with a huge amount of protocols, and we're following it to the best of our ability, and hopefully that can lead to the season going forward and not too many games being postponed or anything like that.
Because, this was a document that was, from the league at least, it was 50-something pages. And I know that certain teams have added on to that with their own sets of protocols. Where is this document for you? Is it there on the kitchen table for you to reference, or is it just something that you had to read like Tolstoy and remember it, and it's a part of you? When you're trying to get all of this information, I imagine it's pretty tough.
Yeah, some players read it, some players I'm sure didn't read the whole thing. It's a huge document. I did read it, and I just skimmed through it, saw the key points, but our athletic trainer and our staff, the rest of our coaching staff, do a great job of relaying all the different messages. So if someone's doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, they get reminded, and obviously if it gets to a point where people are intentionally doing something wrong, that's a different situation, but that has not been the case at all. All the guys are eager and willing to follow whatever protocols are put forward.
In the interim, when there were thoughts about starting a season, then it goes on pause, what was it like for you to interact with fans and the Greenville Triumph community while you were waiting for something to go down? What was that off time like while you're trying to stay in as best shape as possible? And I know that the fans always want to stay engaged as well. What was it like for you being a part of the community during the gap time?
I think it was tough from the standpoint of not every week we're missing games where we could go be interacting with the fans, hopefully after a win and things like that. But the club did a great job with a few initiatives that they had during the quarantine in the early months, where we had the first one, I believe, was the Rocket League. Then we did the FIFA tournament, which I took part in. Actually, me and one of our supporters represent the club, and that was a lot of fun. I got to know him well. He's way better at FIFA than I am.
I was going to ask.
But we never ended up having to play each other, at least on live air, so I won't share the results of the friendlies. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Kind of get a little bit of fan engagement. Obviously, it's never going to be the same as a game and a season, but there was that, and then we also did the Match to Triumph, which was a good cause for the local community. I believe it was the United Way of Greenville. So overall, I think the club just did an excellent job keeping the fans engaged, and as a player, it's great to see that, but it's also great to see how many fans engaged in it, because it's not a one-way street. It has to be both ways. The club can do all the different things that they did, and if no one's interested, then who cares, honestly. But the supporters in the Greenville community were great, and they all kind of followed us through these times when I'm sure they're going through tough times as well. So we really appreciate that, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll get to see some of them socially distanced, of course, but out at Legacy.
Jake Keegan, League One Player of the Week for Week 2 here of the 2020 season. 2 goals against Richmond in the 3-2 win against Greenville, hanging out with us in Player Spotlight this week. And you mentioned travel, heading to Forward Madison for the match here at the end of the month. What's study hall been like getting ready for Flamingo soccer on the weekend?
Last year when we played Forward Madison, all the games were just drag them out. They were I thought they were the toughest team for me personally to play against. They're very similar to us in the sense they have experienced players, they're sound defensively, and they kind of have that know-how. And last year we had two 0-0 draws, and we won 1-0 the last time we played them. So it was always going to be tough. They had their first game of the season against North Texas, so it's tough to see how a team's really going to be because North Texas always just keeps 70% possession. But we're expecting a similar team to what we faced last year, and it'll be tough. And they're very good on set pieces, so I think we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
All right, so you mentioned this FIFA stuff. I admit that I don't play it. When it comes to the team in and of itself, who are the best FIFA players and who are the worst?
Team itself, we have not really had a chance to have a FIFA tournament as a team this year, just being with the pandemic and all that. I would put myself up there just because when we were asked to volunteer for the FIFA tournament that we did, I was the only volunteer. So,
okay, so you're front of the line, all right.
So I mean, at least I had the bravery to go forward. But I think what it was it was being played on PlayStation, and a lot of the guys that do play, they all play on Xbox. So that may have been part of it. So the game is played a bit different on PlayStation and Xbox. So I'd put myself top on PlayStation, and then I know JJ Donnelly plays Xbox. Who else plays? Tyler Pollock's a big gamer, but I'm not sure if he's too much into FIFA. So I don't know. We'd have to have a tournament to really decide this. I can't just speculate. These preseason power rankings don't mean anything.
Okay, so what I will do is I will get Marion on this, so you guys can have a tournament, so we can settle this incredibly important question for the world once and for all. Who is?
Yeah, I'm sure she would love you giving her extra work. So
the major domo. It's like, well, hey, she was on earlier in the show, so this is stuff that I can sit here and discuss. So I will be sure to add this to her list in future weeks. But Jake, obviously, congrats on getting a Player of the Week for Week 2. 2 goals, 3 goals now in the first two games here in 2020. Safe travels up to Madison. And obviously, we'll catch up with you on the flip side. Just safe travels, getting up there, having a good match, and coming back to Greenville. Thanks for hanging out with us as always.
Thanks so much for having me on.
When we come back, we'll put a ball on another show. It's Greenville Triumph Weekly, SDH Network's OSG Sports. We'll be right back after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Time to put a bow in yet another show for Greenville Triumph Weekly here with OSG Sports and SDH Networks. Reminder, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN+. And if you're watching internationally on YouTube, it is Greenville Triumph and Forward Madison. This game is going to be played at Hart Park in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Breese Stevens Field could not fit specs under current COVID-19 guidelines, and so they're at Hart Park in Wauwatosa this season for their home matches, 25 to 30% capacity, around 1,400 fans. First match the Triumph will have had with fans since the exhibition matches back in March. So 8 o'clock is the time for the kick for Greenville Triumph and the Mingos. So keep an eye on that. Long bus ride, fantastic-looking motor coach that the guys hopped on to start their journey up to Madison, Wisconsin. So thanks to Marion Cole for giving us the team perspective. Thanks to Chris Ashley, as always. YTSS, the YTSS podcast, yeah, that soccer show, and GVLsoccer.com. And Player of the Week, reigning Player of the Week after Week 2 in League One, Jake Keegan. Thanks to all of them for hanging out with us for a bit of a review and a preview as we get ready for the Triumph and Forward Madison. Go to GreenvilleTriumph.com. You can sign up for the USL League One newsletter. Don't forget the Greenville Triumph app, where you can catch up with everything going on when it comes to the Greenville Triumph. And then once again, it's a quick turn midweek. Tormenta come to town on Wednesday at 7 o'clock at Legacy Early Closed-door match presented by Lloyd's Soccer Shop. Go to GreenvilleTriumph.com for all the info that you need when it comes to the Greenville Triumph. So once again, thanks to everybody for being a part of this week's show. Thanks to you for listening and being a part as well. I'm just John. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games.